So you were just talking about in Florida, looking at Latino.
Yeah, there are lots of Latino organizations that are specifically polling how Latinos are voting. And in Florida, the Rubio, we just projected that he's a winner. 62% of Latinos supported Rubio. When you look at the numbers of Latinos who had supported President Obama in the last election, that's a very interesting switch. And of course, Republicans have put a lot of money and effort into getting out the Latino votes. Democrats as well, but they've really realized, I think, that their failed immigration reform efforts have hurt them with Latinos. And so it's interesting to see how that really paid off for Rubio.
It'll also be interesting to see nationally how Latino voters go this election. Out of Florida, I mean, would it have been different had this deal been done? I mean, would it have made any difference? Would Charlie Crist have won if Meek had dropped out?
No, I don't know. You know, it's hard to say. I think older voters have turned against Democrats, Barack Obama, as a result of health care reform. They're afraid of Medicare cuts. There's a big voting bloc in the state of Florida. So it's really hard to say. Also, it was quite late, and the response to that is backroom deals. Voters don't want backroom deals, even if it's between Bill Clinton and Kendrick Meek. They don't want it. So I don't think it would have helped.
I don't think the dynamics in that race changed very much because of that. I think it was a done deal before that. I think Charlie Crist might have survived had he not hugged Barack Obama. You know, that symbolically became that moment that was captured later on. But to go back to Soledad's point, for the Republicans to have a Hispanic, a Latino leader coming in, this kind of star power, is a big coup for them. It's a big, important, they have got to find a way, if they want to be a majority party, to win more of the Latino vote. And Marco Rubio is a step in that direction.
And it's clearly up for grabs. I mean, again, if you look at 2004, George Bush won 56% Latino vote. Then he went to Obama, 57%.
So, Paul and Bill?
Big.
It sounds silly. He's already, if the exit polls are right, our projections right, and he becomes a United States Senator, he'll be on everybody's short list for at least the vice presidential ticket for the Republican Party for the reasons that Soledad states. I mean, Barack Obama won the Latino vote 2-1. If they can cut into that, that's enormous, and he's got a great story to tell.
But they have one
child of Cuban exiles.
He's a star, and there's more to come. If Brian Sandoval gets in, Susana Martinez gets in, you're going to see a very different. I think one of the big themes for Republicans is a different kind of Republican Party. We may see that at the end of the day.
The interesting thing is, so notice what Soledad said. The Democratic Party is being held accountable for not passing immigration reform. Absolutely correct. The reason it couldn't get through the Senate, of course, the Republican Party wouldn't let it go anywhere near the floor. So I think the tension here is going to be, will the Republican Party modulate on that issue? And it will have to in order to hold any of the Latino base for 2012.
But agree on what kind of immigration reform they wanted and the timing of immigration reform.
It was there if there was going to be a Republican vote or two to get it there.
Harry Reid wanted to bring it up
on that particular issue, and that's where Republicans are going to have to deal with this whole notion of immigration reform. Because look, you can say Rubio goes out there, but if you have more Republicans from a policy standpoint take the same position they've taken for the last 4 years, they're not going to get those voters.
I would caution against reading too much into Florida returns, because the Latino vote in Florida is heavy Cuban, which tends to be much, much more Republican than other Latinos. So I would be careful about extrapolating to one.
And to Florida from, supported Obama. I'm talking about Florida voters.
And let's see what happens in the I-4 corridor once we start counting the rest of the votes.